Hey you guys, welcome to another brand new gardening video. We are in my garage obviously, but it is still mid-November, so we are wrapping up fall projects, making sure all my bulbs and anything I want to plant gets in the ground. We've had a few nights in the 20s so far. So on today's agenda, if you were with me last week, we planted a bunch of tulips and some daffodils. And then today we are going to be planting crocus. So all of my tulips and daffodils I got from Longfield Gardens, but these I actually ended up picking up at Home Depot. This is 45 bulbs and it was 15 bucks. I thought that was a pretty good deal. And they're all in the purple and white color family, which is definitely the colors I knew I wanted to do for crocus. So I'm gonna be lining the walkway up to my front door with crocuses on both sides. I have one crocus in my yard right now and it is in the backyard, and it has been here since before we moved into this house, and every year it gets bigger and bigger and it's just so pretty. It's one of the first things that bloom in the springtime, and I just always get like ants in my pants in March to do spring planting and start seeing colors. So I figured it would be a good idea to kind of maximize that impact and plant a ton more. These can take shadier areas, which, if you guys know, my yard is almost 100% shaded. I live in a very woodsy area. I have a very shaded property, so the fact that these are good for woodland gardens and shaded areas might be a perfect choice for you too. And then besides the crocuses, we are also, oh gosh, those are shedding little skins all over me. So besides the crocuses, I also want to dig up and divide some hostas and transplant those to a new location from by my front porch to the new like shade path, which if you guys watched last week's video, I shared my shade path garden, which I'm calling my signature garden. It is one of my current projects. It's gonna be like a little walking path garden through some oak trees, and it's like woodsy, so really focused on shade loving plants. So obviously, of course, hostas and dividing hostas you already have is always great because it's free. The weather is calling for low 60s today, which is really nice in November, so that's why I chose to do my outside projects today. So let's go ahead and jump right in, you guys. All right, we are up at my front porch. All of the Halloween has come down, sadly, but this is the area in question. I'm gonna show you guys right here where we are going to plant all those crocus bulbs. So I'm gonna go grab my new tiny bulb auger and my drill, and I think I'm gonna have to do a little leaf blow first, but let's go ahead and get started. Just a couple of tips about planting crocus. Now, they are smaller bulbs than like tulips or daffodils, so they don't need to be planted as deep. They only need to go down like 3 or 4 inches as opposed to the 6 to 8 inches that like tulip and daffodil bulbs need to. So definitely a little bit less labor intensive, but again, this bulb auger is a game changer. It makes it so much easier, although my soil is pretty thick and compacted and I have to go over it a couple times. It's way easier than doing it by hand with a little trowel. But then of course, just like any other bulbs, you want to plant them with that pointy side up. Also, since these bulbs are so tiny, I dumped them on my mulch. They look like acorns, so there was a couple times I was like, is this an acorn or a bulb? So be mindful of that. I did an alternating like zigzag pattern. The package said you could plant 12 bulbs in 1 square foot. I'm pretty sure, which seems kind of odd since these get kind of big when they naturalize. Like they turn into like little grass puffs essentially when they're done blooming. Next we will get some bulb tone in there before we put a little bit more soil on top and close up the holes. So that is what is to come next. Go ahead and water these bulbs in. It has been pretty dry lately. Hopefully this turns out well. All right, you guys, we got all those crocuses in, they're watered, and hopefully they will do their thing, and we will circle back and hear from them in about early to mid-March. Next on my list is over here. I have a ton of hostas in this bed since most of them were already in my yard, and like I said, free is free. I divide hostas all the time to fill in space, so we're gonna do exactly that today. I'm gonna dig up maybe 2 or 3 of the ones that I know are like the bigger size. So probably hard to see, but I know there's one right there and there's one right there, and we will divide those up. And then what the plan is, we're moving over to my shade path garden. The plan is I want to arrange some of them around in this area between these drifts of azaleas just to kind of fill it in. Obviously my cardboard weed barrier is there, so we're gonna fill in with some more topsoil. I have no problem with just drilling through the cardboard to plant plants. Some people are like, how do you plant with the cardboard down? Using a box cutter is perfectly acceptable, but honestly, my little auger drill just goes right through them and I have no problem. Honestly, I think I like the cardboard better than actual weed barrier fabric. Not only is it free, but I just find it easier to like cut and plant things into it than with the fabric. Just my 2 cents. So yeah, let's go ahead and get some of those hostas up and divided and transplanted. Again, I am using an auger here. This one is a little bit wider than the bulb auger, and you can kind of stick this in the ground multiple times to make the hole as wide as you need it. And then after I've got a decent sized hole, I just tuck the little hosta bundles in there. They're basically just little root clumps. If you were dividing hostas in the spring, you would probably see the little shoots coming up from the top, and you'd want to keep those out of the soil. But since I am doing it in the fall, they don't have those, so completely bury them, covering them with dirt, tucking them in for the winter season. All right, you guys, here's a quick look. You won't really be able to see, where I planted everything, but it is all watered in now. And I ended up doing this kind of symmetrical formation that I didn't even mean to, but there's like 2 big hostas in the middle and like 3 going down each side. So it's like boop, 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 boop. Hopefully that makes sense. I was a little bit worried over here, like running into some of those bulbs I planted or the bleeding hearts, but I didn't run into anything. And if anything ends up looking like it's growing in too close, it ain't no thing, I'll move it in the spring. That should be my slogan. Ain't no thing, move it in the spring. And it is now actually the next day, and I had a little pocket of time, so I decided to come back out here, and I just wanted to work on filling in this area where I had just planted those hostas with topsoil and mulch. And for anyone who hasn't watched the other planting video I recently posted, I am working on essentially turning this whole little shaded area into a walking path and like having some true flower beds in here. So I'm doing the cardboard gardening method where you lay down cardboard as like a weed barrier to kill all the bad weeds and things growing so you can create a fresh new flower bed. So between the mulch and the topsoil, I'm just covering all the cardboard. I'm making sure none of the new cardboard pieces I put down are covering the hostas I just planted. But the goal is to get this all nice and fertile and clean looking. It'll just be like a mulched flower bed. And now I am planting a clematis. I've had this clematis for probably close to 6 months sitting in its container. I never got around to planting it because I was waiting to put it in the ground until I got an arch trellis, which is what I want to put right here, but I have not found one that I am in love with yet. So I figured I should put it in the ground because it is going to be happier in the ground than freezing in its container all winter. All right, you guys, we are back inside my garage. I think I'm done for the day. I think I'm getting pretty close to having all of my fall checklist finished, buttoned up. I need to do some more fall pruning for hostas. I have a lot of hostas in my yard. I do want to try to get the dead foliage cleaned up in the fall so I don't have to waste time doing that in the spring. We're gonna be doing more with houseplants. We're gonna be doing more with starting plants from seed. I have a temperature controlled like grow tent that it's in my basement, but I'm gonna move it up to this garage area because I feel like I'll get better use out of it. I hate going in my basement. If you're still with me, I just want you to know that I appreciate you so much. Thank you for spending some time with me today. And hit that subscribe button down below if you're not already subscribed for more gardening, specifically shade gardening. And as always, thank you so much, you guys. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Bye.